It's Capital Region Sports Saturday with Brady Farkas, sponsored by Mohawk Honda.
That's right. I am back in the saddle. Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. Back in the saddle after a week off. Thank you to Andrew Williams for filling in for me last week. I am back from San Francisco, back from my trip to the Super Bowl. It seems like forever ago. At 9:40, I will tell you about how that trip went. But for now, Albany, Siena, I'm telling you right now, they could both go to the NCAA tournament on the men's side. But Brady, Albany just lost in New Hampshire on the road. How are they going to get there? Siena hasn't played with Marquise Wright for a month and a half. They're in third place in the MAC. How are they going to get there? They both have a chance at getting to the NCAA tournament. Albany loses on the road at New Hampshire the other night, 69-68. Well, let me tell you this. Albany has 3 losses in conference right now. They are 9-3. 20 wins overall for Will Brown and his team for the third time in 4 years. Albany has 3 conference losses: at Maine, at New Hampshire, at Stony Brook. 3 great teams, 3 teams that are all vying for position in the for top position in the conference. Stony Brook's 1 right now, New Hampshire's 3, Albany's 2. Maine is the farthest trip in the conference. If Albany can get home games in the conference tournament, if they can be the 2 seed and play every game at home until a potential final at Stony Brook, they're going to be okay. They're going to be okay. Losing on the road at these tough America East teams is no shame. Remember, last year we were spoiled because they started out 12-0 in league play. But if they can continue to win their home games, and they've got tough tests coming up at home as well. They are home against Maine tomorrow on Valentine's Day, 2 p.m. at CEFCU Arena. And then Wednesday, we've got the Stony Brook rematch at CEFCU at 7 p.m. If Albany can hold serve at home, they can continue to elevate their standings in the America East. They can keep that 2 seed. They're probably not catching Stony Brook right now, although with a win on Wednesday and then a Stony Brook slip up, you never know. But if they can hold serve at home, get a high seed, get the 2 seed in the America East Conference tournament, they can win their first 2 round games and then go on the road and try to beat Stony Brook 1 game on the road in a place they were winning with less than 3 minutes to play when they lost them the first time. Albany, with their guard play, Evan Singletary, Ray Sanders, Joe Cremo, their guard play, Peter Hooley, they have a chance to contend with anybody in this league on any given night. If they're going to beat a Stony Brook on the road in the America East Championship, they will need production out of their big men. Mike Rowley, he had 10-10 the other day against Binghamton on Monday. Greg Steyer, Richard Peters, they're going to need minutes and points from that big man, from that post position. That's what they're not getting enough of consistently right now. Their guards are playing well. Singletary, Sanders, Hooley, Cremo are carrying this roster. Their big men need to step up and join the party. We will talk to one of those guys who's a tweener. He plays on the perimeter and down low, Dallas Enema. We will talk to him at 9:45, and I'll ask him, you guys had a tough loss the other night. How do you come back and win tomorrow? So Dallas Enema joins us at 9:45. It's Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. As for Siena, the Saints, a big win at home on Thursday against Canisius. They're in third place right now in the league behind Monmouth, behind Iona. They're going to see Iona twice in the next 3 games starting today. They'll play Iona today, and then they'll play Iona. They'll have a different opponent, and then I think Ryder, and then Iona again 2 games from today. So 2 out of the next 3 against the Gales for the Saints. If they can beat Iona in one of them, at least one, they can continue to elevate their status in the MAC, and they're going to get Marquise Wright back. Their best player, one of the top players in the conference, has been out since late December. He can shoot it. He can rebound it. He gives out assists. 17 points a game, 5 assists a game, nearly 5 rebounds a game. He did it all for Siena. He's coming back, and he's coming back to a better team than when he left, and that is scary. Nico Clarith, the freshman, has found his stroke. 9 of 12 from the floor. 10 of 15. He's efficient. He had 22 points in that win against Canisius. He's put up over 20 multiple games now. Nico Clarith, he's that freshman guy. He's that guy who brings energy to Siena. And you might not like the way he plays as a freshman, maybe a little too flashy for you. I'm old school. I get that. But you cannot deny that he has given the Saints energy in Marquise Wright's absence. So now you bring Wright back into the fold with a Nico Clarith who has confidence. You bring in now a Ryan Oliver, and they have big men. They have post play. Brett Bisping, Javion Oganyemi. Siena is very, very deep. They are very, very talented. They will score 4 or 5 in double figures per night. And remember, MAC tournament here in Albany. Here in Albany. They've lost to Monmouth twice. They could beat them for a third time here on what's supposed to be a neutral floor, but will be an incredibly pro-Siena crowd. They could do the same with Iona. Iona eliminated them a year ago. They could beat Iona here in the tournament as well. So Siena and UAlbany both have an opportunity to go to the NCAA tournament. And speaking of the NCAA tournament, the Siena men's lacrosse team was there 2 years ago. 2 years ago, the Saints and the Great Danes, both in the NCAA lacrosse tournament. Well, right now on the phone with us, Siena men's lacrosse coach John Speck, taking a couple minutes with us. Coach, you guys are playing at Syracuse 1 p.m. today. 1 p.m. So first off, thanks for being with us. Thanks for making time for us here early in the morning on game day. But Syracuse, a national power, an ACC power. What does a game like this do for your program?
Well, it does a couple things. First off, it's a great test for our guys. It's a great measuring stick to find out where we are early in the season. Obviously, Syracuse, talent-wise, is one of the deepest teams in the country, and for us to go out and compete against a quality team prepares us for our conference. It prepares us for hopefully the playoffs, and it shows us where we are and where we need to be. So the other part of it is, if we get to where we think we can be, we're going to face the Syracuse. We're going to face someone of that caliber. So, the third thing I would say is it's great for our upstate New York families and kids to be able to see a great game, and for us to be on ESPN3 and play in the Carrier Dome for recruiting is obviously a bonus.
That game's at 1 o'clock. And, Coach, 2 years ago, you guys make it to the NCAA tournament. Last year, a bit of a down year. How do you get back to that level?
We just keep working. And I think last year, for whatever reason, it didn't click for us. And, that was a great team. It was probably my favorite group of seniors that I've ever been around. Just a wonderful group of young men. And, I got to take the blame for that. It just didn't get them to where they needed to be. But this year, we have changed a few things. We're doing some things different internally. We've got a smaller group of guys this year. We've got another great group of seniors in terms of the leadership, and some other upperclassmen that are really leading the way. So, for us, it's all about, and it's so cliche to say it, but it's all about trying to get better every practice and every week. And what we've been able to do is look back over the last five weeks or so since we came back in mid-January, and say, yeah, we got better at these things. We got a big list on the board of things that we need to improve, but each week against Providence and against UMass, we did some things better than the week before. So we're hoping that that shows us again against Syracuse.
Siena Saints men's lacrosse coach John Speck with us, Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. And, Coach, if you guys are going to get back to that level, tell us about the guys who are going to help you get there.
Well, it starts with our senior captains. Tommy Court's in the cage, and he's a fifth-year senior. He's doing a great job at our master's program for accounting. I'm really glad we have a fifth-year program like that to have Tommy back. He'll be a 3-year starter for us. And in 2014, he was a tournament player, all-tournament player, and he anchors us in the defense. And Tommy's done a great job of growing his game. He's working with Coach Gil Connors right now on some stuff, and Gil's a great goalie in his own right, so he's giving him some pointers and really being able to bounce some stuff off of him. And then, Matt Bellucci, who's a D-Midi for us. Matt just brings a steady Eddie kind of workman-like ethic. He's a great athlete. And Kevin Cousin, a midfielder for us as well, offensive midfielder for us. So those three guys kind of lead us. They're really quiet guys when you think of captains, but they do a tremendous job of leading by example. So, and we go down to the attack, and you have Jordan Barlow, who's been, a 2-year starter as a freshman and sophomore, Chris Robertson, who started last year as a freshman. Our defensive guys, we got a couple of guys back too, and again, they're more workhorses than they are, thoroughbreds.
Siena men's lacrosse coach John Speck with us, Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. And, John, I got to ask you this. You spent some time working over on the UAlbany staff. All of the Thompsons, they are all gone from UAlbany. Were they bad for Siena lacrosse because it gave so much exposure to your rival, or good for Siena lacrosse because it brought so much exposure to the Capital Region?
Well, I don't know Styles very well personally. I don't know Ty that well. I recruited him a little bit when I was at Hobart. I do know that name has done a tremendous amount for the sport. So on a macro level, I think it's done great things for the sport. And those guys are, as Scott will say, great ambassadors for the game. And I think they've really done a great job of looking at what is looked at as a white-collar, prep school sport, and giving it the face of lacrosse and bringing it back to its roots. We in the Capital District here are on the eastern edge of what is, the grounds for the birth of this sport, going west into the Finger Lakes, Syracuse, Buffalo, and into Ontario. This is where the sport was created and given to us, and I think that they've done a great job of that. As far as recruiting, I'm just glad they're gone, to be honest with you. I know Scott's got a lot of, they got a lot of firepower down there. It just, across the country, nobody's got an answer for the kid. It was funny that the kid at Notre Dame, the defenseman, is probably the best defenseman in the country, and they're saying had an unbelievable game against Lyle Thompson. Lyle still had like 5 or 6 points. I mean, that's a great day for anybody. He just didn't have 9 or 10, So I'm just glad they're gone. But for the Capital District, lacrosse has done such a great job of growing with high schools. Shaker's got a good team now. Mike Vorgang over at Niski, and the guys Jason Gifford up at Shen. Boston Spas had a good run, and Joe Policino's down now at Shaker High School. So the Capital District's really in great shape for lacrosse in terms of the college kids they're putting out, in terms of the youth programs that are happening now. So, I think they're great for it. I hope that we can be a great force for it as well and get those youth kids out to see, Siena lacrosse and maybe a little bit of a different brand. But, we try our best there.
John Speck, Siena men's lacrosse coach, with us. Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda. And, Coach, it's almost time for warm-ups. Your game's at 1 o'clock. Get out there at the Dome. Thanks for being with us, and good luck.
You got it. Thanks a lot, Brady.
Absolutely. Coach, I can't believe we're talking about spring sports right now. It's not warm out today. It was in the 20s yesterday. The wind chill's expected to be in the negatives the next 2 days. It doesn't feel like spring sports, but it is. Not only lacrosse this weekend, we've got spring training coming up this week. And locally, you should be excited about spring training because, look, maybe you're a fan of the Yankees, maybe you're a fan of the Mets, the Red Sox, everyone has renewed hope come spring training time. But our local players, our local guys, Jeff Hoffman, Jamie Schultz, 2 guys out of a group, a crop of guys for the Capital Region who are in professional baseball. But Jeff Hoffman of the Rocky Shaker High School grad, Jamie Schultz, Tampa Bay Rays of Maple Hill, both of them have received invitations to major league spring training. Both of them, barring injury, catastrophic injury, will get to the majors. Jamie Schultz has a chance to get there towards the possible late end this year, maybe next year. He led AA, the Southern League, in strikeouts a year ago. Just unbelievable velocity, unbelievable breaking stuff. And then Jeff Hoffman, the number 9 pick in the draft in 2014. He is accelerating through the Rocky system, and he has a chance to be at Coors Field, I would say, by midway through this season, depending on how things are going in Colorado and how he's looking in the minor league. So both of those guys are names to watch, Jeff Hoffman and Jamie Schultz. And we'll talk to another guy, another Capital Region guy who's on his way to spring training soon, and that's Murphy Smith. He'll talk to us at 9:30 today. But for now, Aroldis Chapman, speaking of spring training, he and the Yankees, they come to an agreement, and it was necessary. I'll tell you more next.
It's Capital Region Sports Saturday with Brady Farkas, sponsored by Mohawk Honda.
That's right. I am back from San Francisco, back from my trip to the Super Bowl. I'll tell you about all that at 9:40. But for now, baseball talk, everybody. It's pretty cold out today, but spring training is going to warm up this week. Pitchers and catchers report, and one of those pitchers reporting to the New York Yankees here on your home for Yankees baseball is Aroldis Chapman. Aroldis Chapman, the flame-throwing closer, acquired by the Yankees and Brian Cashman from the Reds for 4 mid-level prospects. So baseball-wise, a great deal for the Yankees to bring Chapman into the fold. Gives the Yankees one of the most dominant bullpens in all of baseball. Now when you look at Chapman, Dellin Betances, and Andrew Miller. The two sides yesterday, the Yankees and Chapman, settled on their contract for this season at $11.3 million. And why that's important is this. So the way the offseason works is we go through what's called arbitration. So Chapman files for arbitration. He says that in his deal, he thinks he is worth $13.1 million. The Yankees counter, and they say, we want to pay you $9 million. And so what happens is that the two sides exchange those figures, and they have X amount of time to settle at a number between those numbers or on any number. They could have given him 18. They could have given him 6, but you knew that wasn't going to happen based on where the sides were. And if they can't, by February 19th, if they can't have come to an agreement, they were going to have to go to court. And why that's important is this, because the Yankees are fighting to pay Chapman less money. They're going to go to court and basically make a case against their biggest asset that they acquired and say, here's why he's not worth what he says he is. So that is not a good way to start your new relationship with a new guy who's going to be a face of your franchise for at least this season. So the Yankees and Chapman have settled $11.3 million, just above the midpoint. So it looks like a win for Chapman, and that is exactly what the Yankees needed to do. And I was surprised the Yankees let it get this far, because the Yankees have not gone to an arbitration hearing. They have not actually gone to court with a player in 8 years. 8 years. But when you do look at it, I was actually shocked to go through and see the Yankees went to court back in 2000 with Mariano Rivera. Mariano Rivera, they actually took to court and made a case against him to give him less money. And I was shocked just given the history of Rivera. And he was already great by that point. He was already a really good established reliever, good closer for teams that have won World Series by that point. So the Yankees and Chapman, they won't have any animosity now going into the season over contract negotiation. It will be remained to be seen what happens with Chapman and the ongoing legal battle that he is in right now, stemming from his alleged domestic violence case, him and his girlfriend from this offseason. I am on record. I'm not a fan of the Chapman move because of those questions in this day and age. Domestic violence is a hot button issue, and I don't think the Yankees should have gone out and sought out a player with those concerns. But innocent until proven guilty. Legally, doesn't appear anything's going to happen, but baseball-wise, Major League Baseball can still act. But the Yankees, baseball on the field, have acquired a great pitcher, and they now have that contract settled, and they can move forward going in to spring training this week. It is Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your #1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. High school hoops heating up now. High school hoops sectionals underway last night. The brackets came out on Wednesday. A couple of playing games last night, a couple early round games. When you look at it, AA boys, the favorite, it has to be Shen. The Plainsmen 20-0. They won the prestigious tournament out in Elmira over Christmas break. They've got the best player in the area in Kevin Herter, who's going to Maryland. They're just so deep. Could anybody beat them? Yeah, Gilderland may be able to get a chance at them. Andrew Sisko, big inside, 6'8". Shen not playing with as much size this year. Gilderland has a chance. They could catch Shen on an off night, maybe. Green Tech, a team that plays independent for the regular season, comes over to AA for the playoffs. They won a state title just 2 years ago. They're a team that has athleticism. They're quick. Maybe could rough Shen up a little bit. But James Allen of the Times-Union, we asked him earlier this week, is Shen your favorite?
Jeff, I would say that they are probably the team to beat. Undefeated season, a little different personnel this year. Last year, a nice mix between the perimeter game and the inside game. They graduated a lot of their post players. So they play, they're playing a game where they're shooting a lot of threes. And they have over 200 threes through 20 games, so they're averaging over 10 a game. And
they are the Golden State Warriors of Section 2 basketball. Kevin Herter, Jake DeZekis, Luke Hicks, Michael Collins, Peter Bevich. These guys all can shoot it, so you can't just key on Kevin Herter. This team is dominant, and I think they're going to run away with Class AA. Not saying they're going to win the state title, but I think they've got a clear path to the state round. I think they roll through Section 2 in Class AA. In Class A, it's been Scotia who's been on lock for the last several years. Why? Well, the answer is Joe Cremo. Joe Cremo now gone. He's starring at UAlbany, but who's left for Scotia? They graduated all 5 starters from last year's state championship team. Is their run over? They're the number 2 seed. So still Coach Jim Gimatay, what a great job he did just to get his team back in a position to contend for a state title. When you graduate all 5 starters and you graduate a kid the caliber of Joe Cremo. James Allen, does Scotia, is this the time that their run ends? Where might their toughest matchup come in these sectionals?
The interesting game should be their potential semifinal, which would be possibly Lansingburg, a team that beat Amsterdam earlier in the year, a team that Amsterdam beat Scotia twice. So I think personnel-wise, Berg is a difficult matchup potentially for them. And
I saw Lansingburg play. They are good. They would be a tough matchup. They're athletic. They're strong. They do shoot it pretty well from the outside. I saw them play against Voorheesville, and Voorheesville was undefeated at the time. They did not impress me in that game, so I don't know if we got a true look at how good Lansingburg is, but they did look good on that night, and maybe they could give Scotia a run for their money, and if they don't, if Scotia gets to the finals and it's a 2-1, you're going to get Rich Hurley against Jim Gimbate in a rematch of 2 years ago. A phenomenal Class A final game that went double overtime. Dyer Holt for Troy, Jack McLaren, Joe Cremo, Don Lamorta, Mike Palesci, those guys for Scotia. That was a great game. I was at the Civic Center. I was there for it. And Troy versus Scotia would be a game that would not disappoint in Class A. Small schools don't get enough love, but here at Capital Region Sports Saturday, we've got them covered. So if you're looking in Class B, Joe Girard, Glens Falls, he's the guy you've got to see. You've heard the name on this show before. He's going to break Joel Winkowski's all-time Section 2 scoring record, barring major injury and barring he doesn't transfer to a prep school or something for his senior year, which is always possible. You never know. The kid's only a freshman, has over 1,000 points in his career. Been on varsity, 8th, 9th grade, 1,000 points as an 8th and 9th grader, averaging more than 30 a game this season. Had a game where he had 52. Shoots it well from outside. I was told last year that he's in range the moment he steps over half court. He went 20 for 22 at the line, or 22 for 22 at the line in that 52-point game. This kid can score with the best of them, and he's only in 9th grade, so you got to figure. So he's got almost 1,100 points. You figure how deep they go in the sectionals. Maybe he gets 1,200 this year. 1,200 points, 8th, 9th grade. You got to figure he's going to be above that average as a sophomore and junior. Say he gets 1,400 in the next 2 years, 1,500. That's 2,700. He's already beaten Winkowski's 2,600. By the time his junior year ends, he could get 3,000. He could break Lance Stevenson's all-time New York State scoring record. So Glens Falls, a guy, Joe Girard, that you want to go and see. Small schools, who are we looking at in the small schools? Kobe Lufkin, Argyle, a guy you can look at. But Fort Ann, they're undefeated. In Class D, James Allen, who are we looking at on Fort Ann? Who's a guy we need to see?
Such a young man themselves by the name of Taylor Madison, who's a junior who's already committed to baseball to pitch at Bryant. He's still got another year after this one. He's a pretty good basketball player. One of the games he had earlier this year actually was against Argyle, of all teams. You talked about Kobe Lufkin. He had 53 points and 29 rebounds in the game against them. 53
points, 29 rebounds. I think that's a guy you'd want to go see if you're looking at the Class D schools. Fort Ann, again, 53 points, 29 rebounds for this kid, Madison. And thanks to James Allen, who joined us earlier this week of the Times Union. It's Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. We were just talking about Joe Girard of Glens Falls. Well, a guy who used to be in Glens Falls who could score it a little bit, Jimmer Fredette. He takes center stage today. The NBA D-League three-point contest and the All-Star game. The three-point contest at 1:30 p.m. The All-Star game at 2. You can watch that on NBA TV. If you get that on direct or on digital cable or direct TV, you'll be able to see it. 2 p.m. that game in Toronto as well. So if you're all jacked up for the three-point contest in the NBA tonight between Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and J.J. Redick, you get a chance to see Jimmer 1:30 in the D-League three-point contest. Again, that game on NBA TV. Jimmer, he's averaging 23 points a game in the D-League, 49% from the floor, 43% from three, 91% at the line. Hopefully a chance here at D-League All-Star Weekend in front of the NBA guys, in front of the NBA scouts, will rekindle interest in the Glens Falls native because Jimmer deserves a chance. He's earned a chance with those numbers to at least get another shot in the NBA. I'm not sure, honestly, why he hasn't gotten it yet. It's Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. And at Mohawk Honda, you know it already. Customer service is the thing they pride themselves on most, okay? Because a business can have everything, but if you don't have elite level customer service, you know you've really got nothing. And at Mohawk Honda, they have that because they make it a priority. And by the way, they've also got over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles available to select from. They're open extended hours at all of their departments to better service you, the customer. You can shop over 10 acres of savings opportunities or just go online 24/7 at MohawkHonda.com. And yes, they will provide you the lowest, no-hassle price to better suit your budget. All you have to do is go in there, ask about their Mohawk Exchange program, and they can assist you in upgrading your current vehicle to a newer one with no money down for the same or lower payment. Just ask for Tiffany, Katie, or V-Day to see just how easy it is to exchange your vehicle for the same or lower payment. And if new isn't for you, they inventory over 300 of the highest quality pre-owned vehicles, all at one low, below market value, no hassle price. Shop the convenient Route 50 and Glenville location to join the #1 automotive family at Mohawk Honda, because you know it. They always go out of their way to please you. Spring training, it starts this week. We've got local guys heading off all over the country, different organizations. They're all going to spring training. Murphy Smith, Shen grad, Blue Jays farmhand. He joins us next.
It's Capital Region Sports Saturday with Brady Farkas, sponsored by Mohawk Honda.
Yes, we are back, and we are on the phone with Murphy Smith, the Shenendehowa graduate, now a member of the Toronto Blue Jays organization for the second consecutive year. Murphy, March 5th, you report to Jays minor league spring training. You're gearing up for your 8th professional baseball season already. Do you still love the grind?
Yeah, I mean, how can you not, you know? You get to play a game for a living, and, you know, it's definitely a grind, but there's still a lot of things that I would not rather be doing than playing baseball, so no, I'm still enjoying it.
Murphy, through those 7 seasons of pro ball already, you've been across organizations, you've been across levels. What is it that you're still working on?
You know, I think obviously I still have been cracked into the big leagues, so that's you know, that's the goal #1, and I think to get there, basically, you know, the #1 need is consistency, whether you're hitting, pitching, whatever. You know, you just have to be able to play the game at a high level consistently. So, you know, definitely I would say that's probably the primary concern is just playing at my highest capabilities, but doing it on an everyday level.
How has your game continued to evolve throughout your time in pro ball? I think the last time I talked to you, you'd really developed a cutter, which is something you hadn't had when we last saw you back in the Capital Region. So how has your repertoire continued to expand?
Yeah, you know, it changes kind of year to year. Last year I kind of more or less turned the cutter into a slider, and at one point was throwing, you know, fastball, changeup, curveball, slider, and then kind of towards the end of the year was more focusing on just fastball, slider, changeup. So, you know, I've learned many different grips and different pitches. So, you know, I kind of tinker and tailor as we get ready for spring training and you know, figure out which ones are going to be best suited for me going forward.
Murphy Smith, Shenendehowa graduate, Toronto Blue Jays farmhand, with us on Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda. And Murphy, you were with the Blue Jays midway through last year and through the rest of the season. You re-up with Toronto this year. They're a hot team. Many pick them to win the AL East, to maybe even get to the World Series out of the AL. What was it about the Blue Jays that made you want to come back with them here for 2016?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I didn't have a ton of opportunities, you know, after I'd been released by the Oakland A's organization. So, you know, I had a really good experience with the Blue Jays last year. You know, I felt as though I was valued there, and really got along well with all the player development guys, you know, the coaches at the levels that I played at. You know, enjoyed my time there, and it just seemed like a good fit overall, you know.
Murphy, when you left the A's, you were bouncing between being a starter and being a reliever. Last year with the Jays organization, you got an opportunity to start. Did you enjoy that opportunity? And what is the plan for you this year moving forward?
Yeah, last year when they had signed me, they wanted me to be a starter. They had an opening there, so I got the opportunity to start all year and threw pretty well and felt real good. And, you know, ironically, they actually, as of right now, are kind of interested in me as a reliever, similar to how the A's were kind of saw that being a better path to get to the major leagues. So, you know, whatever the role, you know, I'm happy to fulfill it, and just wherever the best opportunity lays, that's you know, that's the role I'll go with.
Was it weird for you last year? You were in Dunedin in high A ball, and you got to play with Jeff Hoffman, who's a Shaker High School kid who's who's only like 22 years old. He was a first-round pick, 9th overall a few years ago. You got a chance to play with him. Was that weird for you playing with another Capital Region guy who was a couple years younger?
Oh yeah, no, it was definitely bizarre. You know, I hadn't got the chance to play with a lot of guys at the professional level from the area. You know, but it was fun just to kind of catch up and see how things have evolved and kind of changed in the Capital District. And I know there was another first rounder out of Siena. I think Whitley, I think was the last name, if I'm correct. And so you know, obviously, you know, there's more exposure to the area now, which is great to see. And no, it was fun just to you know, just to see a talent like Jeff pitch, but also you know, just to talk about the good old days back in the Capital District.
Murphy Smith with us on Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your #1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. Murphy Smith headed to his 8th consecutive professional baseball season, the Shenendehowa graduate. And Murphy, on Jeff again, you got to see him up close and personal. What's his potential like? Is he a guy who could be a frontline major league starter?
Yeah, I mean, I think the sky's the limit for a guy like Jeff. You know, he's a big guy. He's a power arm, throws hard, has real good command and a pretty high baseball IQ. So, you know, as long as he can continue to stay healthy, you know, I don't see a reason why him being a frontline guy is, you know, that's definitely in the realm of possibility for sure.
You mentioned Jeff. You mentioned Garrett Whitley, who was taken in the first round, number 13 overall last year by Tampa. We've also got Jamie Schultz from Maple Hill, who's probably going to get to the majors, if not this year, next year with Tampa. And there's a slew of other Capital Region guys who are knocking on the door of AA and eventually up to the majors. So how cool is it for you to kind of be one of those first guys to blaze the trail, you and a guy like Tommy Canley?
Yeah, no, it's you know, it's an honor to be a part of that. And I mean, you know, I've said that from day one that baseball in the Capital District was, you know, is always played at a high level, and it's just good to see that, you know, exposure's finally kind of getting out there, and a lot of more guys are getting more opportunities now.
Murphy Smith, Shenendehowa graduate, Toronto Blue Jays farmhand, getting ready for spring training. March 5th, he reports he'll be back in Dunedin, and Murphy, hopefully we'll see you in the majors with Toronto real soon.
Yeah, thanks, Brady. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. There he goes, Murphy Smith. And Murphy Smith, look, he's a guy who I grew up hearing about, a guy I grew up watching. I played at Shen, and Murphy's 2 years older than me. He graduated in 06. I graduated in 08, and he's a guy who you just knew every time you watched him, you knew you were watching something special. And sure, maybe that's just easy to say because I was in 10th grade and he was in 12th, but I'll never forget the Section 2 final, Shen versus Colony, and Colony ended up winning the game. I believe it was an extra innings, but just how dominant Murphy was. He went on to Binghamton, drafted in the 13th round by the A's. Look, and he's changed up his game a lot. When he was in high school, he was probably 87 miles an hour, 88 with a great curveball. Now he's mid-90s with a cutter and hasn't cracked the big leagues yet. So I'm rooting for him. We're all rooting for him. 7 seasons in the minors now, going on year number 8, and he's still out there, and you have to have respect for Murphy Smith. So Murphy Smith with us. Thanks again, Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda. From a guy who we're hoping will get to the majors to a guy who just blew everything in the majors. Mets, Henry Mejia. Henry Mejia suspended permanently from baseball. The first player ever to be suspended permanently from baseball for performance-enhancing drugs. His 3rd positive test. This is unfathomable to me. And maybe I'm naive and maybe I'm just too nice. But I have to wonder if Henry Mejia, to fail 3 times in a year, is less a cheater as he is just, I don't want to say stupid, but you have to think stupid. Because I almost wonder if he's taking things unknowingly. And I know that's a very, very naive way of looking at things. But to fail 3 times in a year, he failed twice when he was under a previous suspension. It just seems that nobody could want to cheat that bad that they're willing to cheat 3 times in the same year and risk getting caught. He knows the penalty. He's been suspended 50 games, 162 games, and now Henry Mejia gets a lifetime ban. And Met fans, I tell you what, you are lucky the Mets pitching staff is so good that you no longer really need Henry Mejia, because 2-3 years ago you thought you were going to. He was 6-6 a few years ago. He's a guy who started. He's a guy who's relieved, throws hard, good sinker, good stuff. Young kid, 24 years old, or 26 years old, I'm sorry. And his career is likely over because he's banned permanently from baseball. And what happens is he can wait 1 year and apply for reinstatement. And then even if he gets it, he's got to wait 2 more years on top of that. So he's 26. He sits out till he's 27. They let him in again, and he's got to wait 2 years. You're talking 29, 30 before he's potentially able to throw another major league pitch. And I don't know if he's going to get that opportunity. So it's a sad story. If he is an out-and-out cheater and he's been cheating and he's dumb enough to do it 3 times in a year, then good riddance with him. But if he is a guy who is taking something unknowingly, I feel bad for that guy because he just threw away a major league career. And at one point, it was a major league career that was incredibly bright. It's Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number 1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. So last week, I wasn't here. I was at Super Bowl week, Super Bowl Media Week. I was on Radio Row with Levac, who you can hear weekdays here 3 to 7. And so we're at Radio Row in San Francisco, and what an unbelievable time it was. The Broncos win the game. We were just there for the media week leading up to the game for the hoopla that is Super Bowl Media Night and broadcasting from Radio Row. And the people that we met, and our friends at Bud Light sent us there. The people that we met were, we interviewed on the air Curtis Martin, Jets Hall of Famer here on your home for Jets football. Bruce Smith, Michael Haynes, Hall of Famer. Chuck Liddell. I know nothing about the UFC, but I know the name Chuck Liddell. And then just the people you saw walking around. At one point, Bill Cowher, Rob Gronkowski, Jim Harbaugh, Richard Sherman, Bobby Wagner, Todd Gurley, Gronk, T.O., Michael Irvin, Jerry Rice, Joe Montana, Joe Namath, Tony Dungy, Troy Aikman, Ken Griffey, all of these people are here and milling around Radio Row. And you talk to some of them a little bit off-site. You just say what's up to them in passing. We talked to Frank Caliendo on the air. If you missed any of our interviews from Radio Row, youtube.com/team1045. That was our experience at the Super Bowl at Radio Row. It was an unbelievable opportunity. And again, thanks to our friends at Bud Light for sending us. And at media night, Greg Olson, Graham Gano, who we became. Graham Gano is one of our favorite guys to talk to. He's the kicker for the Panthers. He missed a kick in the game, and you felt for him because now you got to know him. TJ Ward, Emmanuel Sanders, James Ferentz. It didn't matter who it was. The guys we talked to at Media Day, it was an unbelievable experience, and we had a good time bringing it to you, the listeners of the Capital Region. It is Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number 1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. And at Mohawk Honda, you already know they go out of their way to please you because they have over 180 trained automotive experts going above and beyond to make sure all of your needs are met. Their Mohawk Exchange specialists can assist you in upgrading your current vehicle to a newer one with no money down for the same or lower payment. Just ask for Tiffany, Katie, or V-Day to see just how easy it is to exchange your vehicle for the same or lower payment. If new isn't for you, they inventory over 300 of the highest quality pre-owned vehicles, all at one low, below market value, no hassle price. Look, being number 1, it's not easy, but at Mohawk Honda, they treat their customers with respect and have been doing it for almost 100 years. 4 generations of the Harridan family proudly serving the Capital Region. Shop the convenient Route 50 in Glenville location to join the number 1 automotive family at Mohawk Honda, where they always go out of their way to please you. Albany, big game tomorrow against Maine. They are coming off a loss against New Hampshire. How do they rebound? How do they get that pivotal home win? Forward Dallas Enema. He tells us next.
It's Capital Region Sports Saturday with Brady Farkas, sponsored by Mohawk Honda.
Taking you home right here, Albany men's basketball team, 20 wins, 7 losses. They're coming off a big loss, though, in New Hampshire. They're trying to hold off the Wildcats for that 2nd seed in the America East tournament as of now. Albany, a big game tomorrow, a chance to rebound. They are taking on Maine, trying to avenge their first loss in conference play against the Black Bears. They've got a big week ahead. Maine tomorrow, Stony Brook Wednesday, and the big rematch of last year's conference championship game. Well, right now we are on the phone with Dallas Enema, forward, junior on that Albany team. Dallas, tough game for you guys against UNH. How do you rebound tomorrow?
I mean, we just got to stay focused. Last time we slipped up at Maine, and they got us up there, so we got to make sure that doesn't happen again, and we get back on the right track.
Tough league this year for you guys, huh? I mean, at Maine, at New Hampshire, at Stony Brook, they're all grinds for you guys every night.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a team in this conference you can take a night off on. They can all get you. There's some great guards in this league, so you got to make sure you come and bring it every night.
For you personally, has this year been challenging? Last year, you earned the starting nod after Peter Hooley leaves the team. You play consistent minutes all the time. And this year, your minutes, you're getting good minutes, but they're more spotty. 7 minutes this night, 21 minutes the next night. Has it been a challenge for you?
I mean, it's something I had to get used to at the beginning of the season, but I know my role now, and I know when I get in there, I know what I have to do. I got to rebound and make sure I make a smart play. So I'm used to it now. It was tough at the beginning of the season because I was used to playing what was like 30, 35 minutes as Pete was gone. But, yeah, I've gotten used to it now.
Albany forward Dallas Enema with us on Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. Dallas, you're 6'6". I am 6'5". You like to shoot the three ball. I like to shoot the three ball. But in high school, they didn't really want me to shoot the three ball. I thought, they're trying to tell me I was a guard in a big man's body who wanted me to play down low. Did you have that same problem growing up?
Yeah, I went to a small high school, so I was playing the four-man, but luckily my coach, he let me shoot it. We actually had a 6'8" big man, so I kind of got lucky in that aspect. So I really didn't have to play the five all too much, which was nice. How do you end up from Iowa at Albany? There's been a few kids that on my AAU team, we traveled around the country, and they saw me in Florida at the tournament. And I talked to them, and they came and took my visit, and they offered me, and I absolutely loved it here. I hung out with Pete. I don't remember if you remember John Puck, Sam, and stuff like that. And I had a great time. So I love the family aspect of this team, and so I committed on the spot. Dallas Enema with us, 104.5 The Team, 104.5theteam.com. Dallas, you've been to the NCAA tournament each of your first 2 years at Albany. Can you even explain what that's been like? No, it's tough to explain. I mean, the first year we finished, what was it? I think it was like 4th or 5th in the conference. We had a tough year. And then we came out, and then we played the 1 seed Vermont, and Pete put up what was like 26 in the first half. Like, it was unheard of. I'll never forget that night. And then we played at Stony Brook, and Sam fouled out, and we somehow pulled that off too, which was crazy. And then last year, no one will ever forget the shot. I mean, craziest thing I've ever been a part of. So I've been pretty lucky in my first 2 years here. You got a chance to play Florida 2 years ago. Last year you played Oklahoma, and then this year you got a chance at the beginning of the year to play Kentucky. And now that we're a few weeks removed from that game against Kentucky, how cool is it for you to be on the floor at Rupp Arena? Oh, it was a dream come true. I mean, as a kid, you just dream of playing in big stadiums like that. They were a good team, so I mean, it was fun to play against them. Dallas Enema with us on Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. Enema, a member of the Albany Great Danes men's basketball team. In Dallas, we had a college basketball expert on earlier this week, and I wanted to ask him, who's the best player in college hoop? And before I could even get the question out, he stopped me and said Buddy Hield from Oklahoma. You played against him last year in the tournament. How good is he? I mean, he was really good last year, but he's on another level this year. He's, shooting 50% from three. And he's shooting in bulk, too, so that's tough to do. I mean, some days you go into the gym and you have a rough day and you'll shoot 40% without anyone guarding you. And this guy's going in and shooting 50% with everyone all on his face every night. So it's pretty impressive. It's crazy to watch. You guys, last week against Vermont, honored the 2005-2006 America East Championship team, which was the first America East Championship team that Albany had. And I'll remember it. I was a sophomore or a junior in high school watching that team, was a big fan of that team myself. What was it like for you guys to honor them, and did it give you guys a little more motivation in that game? Yeah, it was really cool just seeing, the video and stuff. And I've heard, stories about Jamar and how good of a player he was. So it was really cool to hear him speak and stuff. It was kind of disappointing. We came out, we were down by 10 at halftime, and it kind of sucked thinking we were going to let them down on their night. But we came back, we came out, played hard, and the rest, we just ended up getting the victory, which was good. So even though I'm sure you're not a big fan of Siena, but we are big fans of Siena and Albany both at the station, there's a chance that both Siena and Albany could end up in the NCAA tournament. How cool would that be for the Capital Region if both our teams got into the big dance? That'd be awesome. I mean, they're a great team. They got the point guard. I think it's Wright. Is that correct?
Yep, Marquise Wright.
Yeah, he's a player. He's a really good player. So it'd be really cool for both teams to get in. And I have nothing against Siena, just on that one night that we play them, So.
You Albany forward, Dallas Enema with us, Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. Danes coming off a tough loss the other night against New Hampshire. Big game tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m. at Sefke Arena against Maine, trying to get back on track. And then a big game with Stony Brook, the rematch at Sefke next Wednesday. Dallas, best of luck this weekend. Stay healthy. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Dallas Enema, there he goes. Danes, Maine, tomorrow, Sefke Arena, 2 p.m. It's on Valentine's Day. Tough day to be playing, but hey, you Albany needs the win, so should get out there and support them if you can. Siena against Iona today. That'll be another big game for the Saints. Again, I told you at the top of the show, I think they both have a chance to get to the NCAA tournament. Capital Region Sports Saturday brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. High school hoops sectional pairings came out this week. Well, also, the nominations for Mr. and Miss Basketball in New York State came out. The highest honor, the top player in New York State. Those nominations came out. Kevin Herter of Shen nominated for Mr. Basketball. He's one of 4 in that category. The Maryland-bound senior. Look, he's 6'5". He can shoot it from the outside. He can dunk. He's got a vertical. He can play defense. He's long. He's got great court vision. He's going to do well at Maryland. Dustin Clark, the Maryland assistant coach, was on a couple weeks ago with us. Told us he expects him to come in and contribute right away. So Maryland is not an overshot for Kevin Herter. He's that good, and now the state recognizes it as well, nominated for Mr. Basketball. On the girls' side, Carly Boland of Shen, also nominated for Miss Basketball. The Binghamton commit has the Plainsman number 1 seed in Class AA, averaging more than 20 a game. Their rivals over at Bethlehem. Bethlehem won the state title a year ago. And Jenna Giacone nominated for Miss Basketball as well. She is headed to Dayton next season. Her sister currently at Northeastern, so a great family for basketball if you're in the Giacone family. So another great show flying by. Yankees promotional schedule came out. I'm telling you right now, home for Yankees baseball. Make your way out. April 23rd, Babe Ruth bobblehead night. May 14th, Alex Rodriguez replica bat day. June 24th, Mickey Mantle triple crown bobblehead night. And then August 14th, Mariano Rivera Monument Park plaque dedication. And then Thursday, September 8th, the Yankees Peanuts bobblehead night. So maybe Charlie Brown and Snoopy in Yankees caps. Capital Region Sports Saturday brought to you by Mohawk Honda. We'll see you next week. I am on with producer Gaz. We are hosting Levac on Monday. JP Sportman, 3:15. Bob with Shoes and the radio voice of the Jets, 5:15. We'll see you Monday. Capital Region Sports Saturday. We'll see you next week.